Hi, everybody. My name is Chandra Riley, and I am Managing Director of Made in Midlothian. And this is our Living History panel discussion. I am very pleased to be speaking with some very important and intelligent activists about themes emerging from the Black Lives Movement. So first, I'm going to introduce Bobby Nuanze, who is the host of the No Beef podcast, whose show I was on last week, and you can find that on YouTube. And I'm just going to pop Bobby on so we can say hello. Bobby it's his birthday today, so I think he may have gone off to get some cake. There he is. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
Anytime. Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Excellent. And I'll introduce our next panelists. Next up, we have Sarah Parks. And Sarah is a professional actor who specializes in TV and theater for young people. You may have seen her on CBeebies. She now uses a unique blend of coaching, personal development, communication, and parenting skills gathered over 20 years to help moms move from being stressed and not knowing what to do to being confident and calm. She's helping parents manage the big emotions that are coming up from navigating this huge transition to a new parenting and social normal. Please welcome Sarah Parks.
Hi,
Sarah.
everyone. Hi. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to now introduce Mary Turner Thompson. And it's Thompson, like with the M, not a Tomp. Mary is a writing coach and a publishing consultant. Whitewater Publishing, I believe, is the company, the publishing house, as well as a best-selling author, a true crime memoir called The Bigamist, about her experiences at the hand of a psychopathic non-husband. She is inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and will be bringing her on just now. Hi, Mary.
Hiya.
Hi. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Oh, good. Great.
Right. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see what happens this evening.
Yes, me too. Thank you for being here. Let me now introduce Cynthia Gentle. And Cynthia is the creator of the African Caribbean Society Scotland. She's Zimbabwean born, been in Edinburgh for 22 years. She is a mother. She is a singer and actress, and she is going to be doing our Saturday sessions, performing next Saturday night, August the 1st. She's passionate about cultural representation and all issues concerning Black lives. Please welcome Cynthia Gentle. If I can do, yes, there we go. There she is. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello, Chandra.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And lastly, we're going to add Renee. And Renee is the founder of Made in Midlothian. She's from Tasmania in Australia. And she is also my co-managing director of Made in Midlothian and the potter behind the Yellow Door Studio. She has 4 children, so she is a busy mom. They are a really wonderful family of 6, and she's someone who's very close to my heart. Renee Bell. Hi, Renee.
Hi. I liked how you really invoked the Tasmania.
Tasmania. I love that.
Californian accent, just twinged.
Tasmania, y'all. Okay, so I'm going to start by asking you guys, what did you think of the piece Matching the Description by David James Barr? Bobby, what was your thoughts on that?
If I'm honest, personally, I had to watch it twice. It was quite moving at the same time powerful how he was just able just create such an image. And in my head, I kind of thought like, what's going through his head while he's drawing this? You know, with all the distraction that's happening around him, and he just carries on drawing, and I'm just thinking to myself like, wow. I thought it was quite moving personally actually.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Very strong mind, very strong minded as well. You know, for to be able to carry on and finish. You know.
Yes, I was moved as well. Thank you, Sarah. What did you think?
What really struck me, I suppose, being a parenting coach, what really struck me was what was going on in the background. You know, was that, you know, I could hear his children, and it reminded me of, you know, how life is right now with us in these situations where we're surrounded by our children, where there's a lot less space, where, you know, finding that time to be creative, finding that time to, you know, produce work and what have you, is being done in the mix of life, in the mix of family. So that's what really stood out for me, that that kind of sense of moving through life and with family surrounding you, you know, and that's the way life is now, in particular. And and that he was able to focus with all of that going on. That's what parents are doing all the time, you know, all the time, doing, you know, writing their emails with singing going on in the background, you know, the pizza song that's, you know, in the background in my home right now. It's just like, you know, there's this backdrop, I suppose, to life. And that, you know, and I suppose what it invoked for me was that life isn't perfect. You know, life isn't like some perfect little image, you know, some, you know, that we get presented from the media of what a family looks like or whatever, you know, with all the layers of that. Actually, you know, it was very real, very real. So,
Thank you. Mary?
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to come to me next. I thought you were going to go in order. I thought I was safe for another 3 minutes at least.
You're up.
I'm up. Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was very interesting that you know, the idea of just doing the outline and just the lips, and that, you know, sort of with all the distractions wasn't able to get to the kind of features. Which I thought was sort of the kind of main point of it all, was, you know, the fact that, you know, we have this kind of we take those stereotypes, we take those, you know, the sort of outline of somebody, you know, their hair, their outline, the color of their skin, we take a sort of bold judgment based on, you know, some really just it's the only way I can describe it is like the edges of the puzzle. We just look for the edges, and not actually looking much more about what the bigger picture is. And I thought that was a really good point that he was making. So that was what I took.
I felt the same way. Thank you, Mary. And so next I'm going to go to you, Cynthia.
Yeah. Well, when I had to watch the video twice. When I played it the first time, I thought there was another tab open up on the laptop with the noise in the background. So I thought it was something happening on my end. But then I realized that was part of the video. And at first, the background noise was kind of grating on me. But then as the image came up, it kind of silenced the background noise. The background noise didn't matter anymore. And instead of being kind of annoyed with the background noise, it was like a total switch in emotion.
Yeah.
Because I kind of began to recognize an image and everything that image brings up for me. And the background noise wasn't as important. It seemed to almost fade. You know, there was something really important happening that I needed to pay attention to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. Renee?
I mean, I think the background noise was, to me, really indicative of what the situation would have been like. And actually, that kneeling on somebody for 8 minutes and 40 odd seconds is a really long time. And with all that, it wasn't a quiet room. There was loads going on around you. And even still, with all that going on around you, you think that's...
No,
You're right, Renee.
frozen.
She's frozen.
I thought she was pausing for thought, but she's actually frozen.
Such a... Am I back? Am I
You're
back?
back.
Yes.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. You're
So
back.
there's a slight problem that I'm going to try to figure out, you guys, because
Yes.
I am being told that it is not showing online, which I have no idea why.
Have you gone live? Have you gone live? Top right-hand corner of your screen, Chandra. It'll say go live.
Yep, I've done that, and it says we're live.
We are live.
Yeah, we are live. Yeah.
What we aren't, I think, is connected on Facebook, which is very confusing.
That's weird. Okay.
But I think my suggestion is that maybe we just carry on through and we can post it straight afterwards, because this will be recorded, won't it, Chandra? Pretty sure it will.
Oh,
maybe it's not.
Teething troubles.
You're asking me things that I don't know. It says you are live and view on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure after this concludes, there'll be like an option or a file that'll come up. Would you like to convert it to so on and so? So it must be, because once you do something live, at the end of the call or the conversation, or when you come out or leave, I'm sure there'll be some option where it can be saved to a file and so on. So I'm sure there's an option it'll be recorded.
I mean, it's like that on Zoom, but I've not used StreamYard before, so.
Yeah, normally
it must be live somewhere.
We are live on. I've just checked. We are live on YouTube.
Okay.
Don't know why that is.
If you have the link for YouTube, you can just post it on the page. For the Facebook page, for those that wanted to watch.
So we'll miss the live comments, but that's fine. We can see the comments later.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get the YouTube link.
I think we should just carry on. YouTube's up. My lovely husband over there may check it out on YouTube and share it to our Facebook page.
Oh, will he?
The tech support over there.
Yes.
You might need my phone.
This is the lovely part of sort of the new technology that we're all getting used to, is that we've stopped being all the formal business people that get everything right first time. This is human. Yep. This is what we do. So we're all getting used to the technology, and people don't mind.
And we've all aged 50 years in 3 months.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really. So let's press on, Chandra.
Okay. Yes, I will press on as soon as I get my head back in the game. So, okay, I've posted it on Facebook, I think. Now, let's go with I'm going to ask you, because I've just now lost my questions. So I'm just going to say, does anyone have any stories or insights that they want to give us on assumptions, background, and upbringing, and things that perhaps, I mean, we don't want to shame our families for being who they are, but
I'm quite happy shaming mine.
Mine won't be watching.
Any social cues that you've had? I'm going to go the other way around this time. Any social cues that you've received in regards to race and racism that perhaps aren't what you now believe, Renee?
So, I mean, I'm Australian. Pretty much every single thing I was taught about race, I've had to re-question. And I mean, the thing is that I know I was brought up that way, so I know I have that, and I internally challenge it constantly. But what I never do is share that with anyone. And this is the first time, and I can say a complete, some of my assumptions of people are shocking. The things that go through my head that I then have to go, no, wait, because I was thinking about this quite a bit today, and actually skepticism is one of the first things. And it's so awful, and it's so hard to admit live on public platform. But when I see a Black person win an award, the first thing my brain does is put in some form of skepticism, because I was brought up very much in a culture, Aboriginals particularly were not as smart as white people, and we were just better and smarter and all of these things. And whilst I have to, and I constantly do that, but I still, even to this day, will catch myself occasionally thinking that. And it's not a conscious thought, it's completely under the radar. And I, suddenly go, what? Why am I assuming that they've done something to get up there that isn't hard work? If anything, I should be assuming the contrary, because to make it, you have to do twice as much work. And I think, I've got a billion of those, but it was really horrifying when I started as an adult properly looking at that and realizing what I was doing without thinking about it. And without things like this, people, there are millions of people out there going through life like that.
Yeah, thank you, Renee. Yeah. Cynthia, what about you?
Yeah, for me, something that comes to my mind is I remember growing up in Zimbabwe, and I've always, when you are part of the majority, you hardly pay attention to what the minority are saying. Though it's not white privilege that I had, but I had privileges other people in the country did not have. And it was fine. I didn't see what the problem was, And then suddenly finding myself in Scotland as a minority and remembering echoes of what people in the past had been saying for a long time. But I had never paid it any attention because I felt it didn't concern me. We had people in our country from neighboring countries who were working, doing menial jobs. And, we used to have jokes about it. We used to call them names, and it seemed okay. And now, knowing what I know, being here, having experienced what I've experienced, I realize that, it's very difficult for people who are privileged to fully get it. And it's not like everybody in Scotland is going to go on a plane and suddenly go somewhere where there'll be a minority for them to fully understand. It's not going to be like that. So for me, it's thinking about ways of encouraging people to understand, maybe get some, by telling stories, telling experiences, empathy, understanding, learning, without having to wait for a catastrophe for people to pull attention to some of these things. Just in everyday life, realize what is important, not just for the privileged, and not to make assumptions about people who are not privileged, but to actually pay attention and to, listen to what other people are saying. So I'm now in the minority. I'm having to engage with people who would not necessarily pay attention to what I have to say. And it's not that I am just being in the minority it comes with a whole host of issues. It comes with financial issues. It comes with trauma issues. It comes with isolation issues, a lot of issues being away from family as well. And these are really, really big things. And so, it's been one of those things that I've been working towards, getting attention to those things. It's not just every Black person being the same. Every Black person is an individual. Everybody's got a different story to tell. But it would be good for people to have like a level footing for us to, bring what we have to bring to the table without the assumptions, without the names, without, the bias, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So obviously it's not going to be an overnight job. I fully understand that.
Well, no,
No.
but it has to start somewhere. And, I think there's ripples and there's waves. And there's been a wave this year during lockdown with everything that's happening. But I said I was going to let you guys talk and not talk too much. But I think that we certainly, there have been ripples in the past, and there have been waves as well. I mean, there's been a lot of movements throughout history to get us to the point we are now. And that's why we're talking about this now, because we're here, but we're not there yet.
That's right. I think the most important thing for us here in Scotland is issues like this have always been made to sound as if they are happening in other parts of the world. Yes. And that is not actually happening in Scotland. So whatever has been happening in Scotland has been very minimized or just pushed to the side. And I think one of the things that has happened with this last issue with George Floyd is, hang on, this is happening here. It's not the same as what is happening in America, but it's the same name, but it appears differently. It's experienced differently here. And that doesn't mean it's any less important of an issue. It's still as important, and it still needs to be addressed. So, so I think that's what we're trying to do in Scotland, find language for our struggle, rather than ride on the back of the struggle of other people. Our own struggle here in Scotland is different, and we're going to have to approach it differently,
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Cynthia. Mary?
Wow. The original question was, what was upbringings and our interpretations and our...
Yeah, how has your upbringing shaped your views on race and racism?
I had two white parents. My father was born in 1925 and was racially tolerant, shall we say, which is ridiculous. My mother was not racist at all, and if my father ever said anything, just mildly, he wasn't majorly racist, but he would just have little comments. My mother
what's majorly racist?
What was that?
What's the difference between majorly racist and mild racist?
Not much. That's the problem. That is the problem. But you see, I grew up with that kind of thing, and I've never seen myself as racist. I've never seen, I actually went kind of, hear me out to the end of this, because I'm recognizing that I am racist, hopefully learning. But I never used to see the color of somebody's face. I would actually, my friend who is mixed race, she turned around to me one day and said, oh, somebody was being racist towards her, and she's American. And I turned around and I said, why? You're not English. It didn't cross my mind that someone was being racist to her because she was black, or because she was mixed race. And that sort of, to me, so I was thinking, well, I'm okay. I'm not racist because I don't see color. And, that in itself, though, is racist. Turning around and saying I don't see color is saying that I'm nice to black people because I don't see them as black. That is actually, that's institutionalized endemic racism, because of course I should look at people and see that they're black, but it should not matter. Does that make sense? It's recognizing that I don't think I've ever judged anyone on whether they're black, white, green, orange. It doesn't bother me. But it's, that's still, that's sort of in me. And I'm trying to recognize any prejudices that I have grown up with, so I can identify them and eradicate them and make sure that anybody I'm around who I talk to, I can do something about, because I am part of the problem too. And, until we recognize that we are part of the problem, we're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Thank you, Mary. I think Bobby wants to reply to that. Wants to respond respectfully and honestly. Bobby?
No, No, Mary. No. I'm. Do you know what, Mary? I've lived in Scotland for 21 years now, and I've always been the minority. You know, I've
Yeah.
always been the black friend. I've always been the guy that they say, "Oh, I'm not racist. I've got Bobby's my friend." Do you know what I mean? And obviously, growing up with two different cultures, the African culture as well as the Scottish culture, you know, you see things in two different lights, but they always come to the same conclusion. And
Right.
what I would say is that there's institutional racism, systematic racism, and casual racism, mild racism, or whatever. Racism is racism the way I see it, and of being a victim of everything. Um, my my mental health and my trauma automatically has fury towards it because we all know right from wrong, and I feel like some people still know right from wrong, but still act a certain way. What we need to do is laud people like you that are acknowledging the problem, and we need to let people like you speak louder to those people who aren't listening. You know, I've not got a straight reply to what you said because, you know, I'm here to listen as well. You know, we all come from different experiences, and we're all here for the same thing. You know, for the same conclusion.
Yeah.
I just think that when I think about the question, I just think to myself, you know, I'm tired. You know, I'm drained. I just feel like, what don't you get? You know, and then at the same time, I think to myself, do you know what? These people are acknowledging the problem and they want to do something about it. So instead of segregating myself or just being like, do you know what? Forget them, don't want our blah, but I'll do my own thing. I'm choosing to be united with these people like yourselves, um, and talk about the problem because, you know, enough is enough. We've heard that, but you know what? Right now, it's time to start talking. You know, time to start engaging. That's what I would say on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby. Sarah?
Hi.
Hi.
So
Got anything
That
to say?
voice. It's such a lovely voice.
I
oh,
know.
thank you. I'm just thinking back to the question, upbringing. So I grew up in mid Wales, in a rural area, and I could count on one hand how many people of any kind of colour were in the area where I grew up. So, or maybe two, but I think there were 6. So yeah, just built into 2 hands there. So yeah, so I very much grew up as a minority, you know, and I remember when I was 7 years old, I remember kind of really getting how society works, like getting really clearly, oh, okay. And I remember thinking, you know, I can see this is so unfair, you know, because I'm black, I'm a girl, and I wear glasses, you know, and I was just like, ugh, you know, all of this, you know, I was kind of stacking it all on top of each other. You know, to me, it was all like, you know, and I wear glasses as well, so I can't even see when I go swimming in the swimming pool. You know, like,
I'm with you, girl.
Yeah, but what I kind of got was that life is harder. And I could see life was going to be harder and unfair because I could see boys were treated differently to girls. And I could also see what I saw was black is bad, white is good. The lighter you are, the better. So I got, you know, those comments like, oh, well, you're not really black. You're more like a coffee kind of milky coffee kind of color, you know, you're, you know, all these kind of things.
Yes.
and not you, them, you're different from them, all that kind of stuff when I was growing up. And yeah, and I suppose, and it's interesting though, because I've always felt a little bit, partly because of my upbringing, partly because I was separate from the Black community as well in Wales and in the UK. And my family, I was kind of quite not a very cohesive family. So it's like that sense of not fitting one place or another. Do you know what I mean? It's like not belonging there and not belonging here. Like I'm not, you know, I'm not Black, I'm not white, I'm this kind of in between kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's challenging. You know, it's challenging.
Yes, definitely.
My children get that a lot because my children are mixed race, but their skin is very pale, and they get my 18-year-old daughter gets really annoyed that the fact that she's not Black enough. So that she actually has Black friends who kind of go, no, you're not Black enough to do this, you're not Black enough to do that, and she's it's interesting. It's like what you were saying. You do get that kind of.
They ain't her friends if they say that.
Yes,
that's
pretty much what
yes.
Because
I mean,
no,
as
because
an
my son's
Australian,
you go first.
This is a really big thing in Australia, actually, because of course we had the history of the half-caste children being taken away, and it being
horrific,
incredibly shameful. Anything was better than being Aboriginal, anything at all, and it was always sort of said as a regular thing of you could pass, and you could pass for an Italian or you could pass for anything else, and it was a really big thing of trying to, you know, but of course those people would then go back to their Aboriginal communities and be completely ostracized as well because they've been brought up the white way. And it's a horrible situation in Australia for that, because it's still very separate as well. So you hear a lot of that, don't fit in.
Yeah.
I personally think mixed race is going to be the new race, personally, in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if I'm honest. My wife, she is half Scottish, half Algerian. She's mixed race, and our son is mixed race. So most of my friends, most of my Black friends have white partners from either a European country or Scotland, and I personally think that that's how it's going to go. So I mean, then we'll probably be 20, 30 years older thinking, well, where do we fit in? You know?
Yeah.
Because we're not that race. What I would say that to what your daughter went through was just that, do you know, like, they are not on her level, if that's what they're saying to her. Yeah. She doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. And do you know what? I'm glad that happened to her now. So it tests her mental character, you know? Because, you know, peer pressure, being 18 and, you know, mental health and social media and all that, God, like, I salute you women, because, you know, to be a woman right now, there's so much pressure, and to be a young woman and to be told you're not Black enough, it's ludicrous. So, no, tell them to shut up in the most nicest way possible. And trust me, because, do you know, that's another thing. I don't want to dally on here, but that's another thing that annoys me in our community. The light-skinned, the mixed race, all that, the non-cohesive, vile verbal dialogue that goes on. It just annoys me. How can we all be from the same community, yet we're trying to segregate each other? You know, I just don't understand it, to be honest.
No.
Well, I definitely.
Something you said before about, you know, us all becoming mixed race, and all I could think of was, yes, I think you're entirely right in a particular pocket of society, and that pocket doesn't seem to be, for example, our leadership, or or, you know, all these people in the spotlight are very much not the case, and it's a struggle to see how they will form a cohesive community without some dismantling of, the white wealth and leadership of our country.
Right. Smash the
Just say
patriarchy.
it. Let's be honest. Say it.
Okay, we're saying it. I've said enough
just
that
say
we're
it.
terribly damning of myself. So
No, but do you know, like, we need, like, Chandra's brought us all here to have this conversation and to talk about topics. We have to be brutally honest with each other. There's no point sugarcoating anything. We're not here to offend anyone, okay? If we speak out of turn or out of politically correct, I'm very sure one of us will correct each other. And, the thing is, we can't be scared to have this conversation. We can't feel uncomfortable. If you want to say a white supremacist and Boris Johnson, that's my words only. But, that's my opinion, I'm just saying that, like, we shouldn't hold back.
You say we shouldn't be, but I think, we should acknowledge that, I mean, at the very least, as one of the white people here, I am horribly, like, I do lives all the time, and I've never been so nervous about one, and it absolutely scares me. And I avoid it because I don't ever want to offend, and I don't ever want to make someone feel small or anything like that. And I feel the absolute opposite. I think anybody of any minority should be put up above, because actually that's recognizing all the, at a job interview, somebody of color has been, had fewer opportunities handed to them, and they have had, you have to have some positive, and that not seeing color is about seeing, acknowledging that person has had it harder and found it harder to get here. And I believe in all that. I'm also really scared that because of my upbringing, I don't come across that way. And
then you met me.
Actually, I have all this, internal.
Well, you shouldn't.
My best friend in primary school is Aboriginal.
But you shouldn't. Do you know what? Like, if
I'm not racist. Sorry.
Because do you know what?
No, my best friend.
If I was to go by the way I was brought up and the way I was taught by my parents and the way they were taught by their parents, I'd probably be a very, very angry man. A very, very angry man.
Yeah.
And I dare say I might not be here. I could be in jail for doing something stupid, I think we all need to remember we're all individuals. We all make our own minds,
Yeah.
So obviously, it's hard when you grow up in a culture or you grow up in an upbringing where you're told white is good and being black is not good. It starts to become automatic and it becomes the norm. However, when you step outside that household into society, into reality, you see and learn things, and then you make up your own decision. And I think that defines you as a person because, I applaud you because you are having this conversation. You could have chose not to come here, but you chose to discuss, and we need to encourage that courage, I mean, if you ask a black person, talk about racism, we'll tell you, how long do you have? Do you know what I mean? Seriously,
I think that's something that's happening though now, because it really is. I mean, I genuinely, when this all started, and as I say, my daughter is far more woke than I am, and people started talking about Black Lives Matter. I genuinely turned around and said, but don't all lives matter? And my daughter turned around to me and said, listen, if our house was on fire and the fire engines came, and then the neighbors turned around and said, but my house matters too, and it's like, and I get it. I get it now. But it took me actually saying those words out loud for somebody to then say to me why I was wrong. And it's like, and I think an awful lot of people at the moment who have no random hand coming into shot. That was my eldest daughter just switching her own light on. But yeah, so it takes people feeling that they can actually express that and say what's in their minds, to ask the question of why isn't this the case? Why, what is it that I have been brought up with that is this endemic, believing one race is better than another, or one color is better than another, or one religion, or one bloody football team, excuse my language. But, why are we brought up thinking that somebody is better than somebody else for for whatever reason. And unless we ask the questions, unless we have the courage to do it. And at the moment, I think so many people are terrified of coming across going, sort of like, I might be a little racist flag, and they're so terrified because, people are being vilified on Twitter and social media if they say anything, but the people that are nervous about doing it aren't the ones that are, it's the ones that aren't nervous. But I mean, it's actually, I'm trying to come right out of my comfort zone and just go, okay, well, I want the answers to these questions. What can I do that will make a difference? And if that is just asking those questions, then I'm absolutely glad to be here and doing this. However uncomfortable I am saying some of the things I am.
Well, you know what? Thank you. Cynthia. I'm going to move things on a bit. I'm sorry. Oh, Cynthia, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
You can carry on.
Okay, I was going to move on a bit. And our next question, I found my questions. The next one is, how do you think children today will view the world 20 years from now? Who wants to start?
I would like to start.
Cynthia?
I think we are at that time where we actually, we have to really push education, right? And make sure that the children do not pass on the anger or the trauma that Black people feel, okay? It's important that 20 years from now, children are not holding on to whatever their Black parents held on to any unhealthy ways of coping with racism. When we are talking about race, that should be dealt with so that our children are not carrying on unhealthy cycles of behavior or even different, like limited thinking, only thinking they can go so far in society, or only thinking they can be judged by how straight their hair is, or, how straight their nose is, or thinking that wherever their parents come from is a -1 position. We're needing to push the knowledge that every culture has got something positive, right? And there have been some shameful things done in the past, but we want to move on and actually just embrace everybody, never mind the color of their skin or where they come from. So that, for my child, that is what I would like to push. It wouldn't, all the work we're doing would be undone if I taught my son to grow up as an angry Black man and hate white people. It doesn't move us any further forward. So for me, my wish would be people get educated. People deal with the shame right now of confronting some of their ways of thinking. People deal with it and learn and grow and move on.
Yes, well said, Cynthia. Anyone else?
I'd like to follow on from Cynthia, actually, because I can really relate to what she was saying there in terms of some of the work that I'm doing right now with parents is around that, really, is around creating a new legacy going forward. During the lockdown, what became really clear for me is in terms of my mission with the work that I'm doing is creating or helping to create a legacy of feminine social change. And so for me, that's about the balance in the patriarchy with the matriarchy, which is just so out of whack right now, and needs balancing out, but also is about, parents doing that inner work on themselves to heal the past, to drop those negative batons and not keep carrying them forward, those ways that they were parented that didn't work, being able to heal that, release that. And that's where the coaching stuff that I do comes in, with healing some of that past trauma and it's really exciting to see kind of what's happening with the parents that I work with. So I think, what I see is for us to do our bit in whatever we do, in the work that we do, in the way that we're going to do that in the world, to be an example, and I think, for me, recognizing that as a Black woman, there is an opportunity for me to be a role model and be an example to other people. It's something I've I've been aware of through my working life, actually. You know, when I was in things like when I was on CBBS, you know, having a woman of color on the screen for kids, you know, there's a lot more of that now, whereas when I was little there was a lot less of it. You know, you could, you know, count who there was, you know, Floella Benjamin, there was, you know, there were a few people, whereas
Tokens.
You know, token. It was more of a
and that's
token.
so important in like books and everything as well. There are so few
having these images of people is so important. All different people, you know. So I'm excited, actually, because I think in 20 years' time, our children are going to look back and go, wow, can't believe it was like that. You know, the same way that we do about 20 years ago when things were worse than they are. There has been progress, but it's like, you know, it's like you were saying about the ripples and the waves, you know, and there being times when, you know, progress can be accelerated, you know, by people coming together, by our consciousness opening up, you know, which is what I think is happening right now.
I'm very much hoping that we are going to take a huge leap forward now. Is that, you know, the fact that we are able to have these conversations, the fact that, you know, things are opening up, you know, it's like the difference between, you're talking about 20 years time. I'm hoping it's going to be the difference between the 50s and now to now in 20 years time. You know, it's going to, I mean, not even that's not even a good comparison. I think, you know, I think Bobby's absolutely right. I think we're all going to end up mixed race. I think you're going to find, you know, sort of like, I'm already noticing on TV that there's a lot more mixed race faces in dramas where they're not the token black person that's there for the reason of being a token black person, that there's actually just general public, you know, mixed races all over the place, which I think is great. And I'm noticing a lot more programs where that's the case, which I think is absolutely brilliant, because that's what we need. We need more representation in media. We need more representation, more role models, more, you know, sort of more situations where people are exposed to those minorities. You know, what Cynthia was saying, you know, that's you know, opening up all those doors. And I think, you know, in 20 years time, I'm hoping that this will no longer be an issue. You know, I'm hoping that wave is going to be like a tsunami, not just another little ripple, but actually something that just breaks down all those barriers, you know, and changes everything.
Thank you, Mary. I just want to, yes, that's all of our hope.
Kids, if nothing else.
I just want to point out on this panel, 5 of the 6 of us have mixed race children.
Sorry. They're even all blonde. I don't even know how I ended up with blonde children. I didn't even get
You're just letting the slide down. You're letting the slide down.
You don't have to.
I really am.
It's okay, Renee. Don't worry about it, hon. It's not too late. Bitch, Andrew.
It's not actually because of, like, I think, in fairness, my previous partner was black, so in my defense.
Okay, well, thank you all. I think this is a really good place to wrap it up, thinking about the future. And I just want to thank you so much. And I just want to put my 5 cents in, is I think as Black people and as a Black woman, myself personally, I want to make sure that I am visible and that I am doing the things that basically that I belong in the room. And that's how I've always sort of presented myself. I belong in the room. So get used to it. And that's how I feel. So, and MIM's a great platform for that. So thank you, Renee. Renee and I are like really, really working hard to make MIM happen. And all our other directors are too. And we want to celebrate the arts, but we also want to be socially responsible and not hide under the covers. So,
and the arts have always been that.
The arts
and should continue.
Are the best way to do that. Yes. Well, not the best way, but you know, it's a good way.
They're always at the front.
Yes. But thank you all very much. I just want to let people know, if people are actually watching, I think they are, because we had comments from Art Club. Hi, Art Club. Hi, Donna. We just want to let you know that next week we do have another panel discussion where we'll be discussing, oh, Renee, help me out. It is sitting in the discomfort. Oh, wait, sitting in the discomfort of racism is next week's subject. So thanks again. Thank you, David James Barr, for that very powerful piece. And I'm going to say good night. And thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.